Hey book readers! The 1960s were full of important science-y moments, including the first manned mission on the moon and the first crewed vessel to reach the deepest point of the Mariana Trench. The decade was also full of important sci-fi books. Here are a handful of my favorites. First up from 1969 is Downward to the Earth. And in this one, Edmund Gunderson comes back after 8 years to the planet Belzegor, where he used to be one of the human colonizers who ruled over the planet's two intelligent alien species. And he's just got guilt eating away at him for some past sin that he committed last time he was on the planet, and he's trying to repent for that sin, but he doesn't really know exactly how he needs to go about doing that. And during his journey to self-discovery and absolution, he gets permission from one of the alien species, I guess both of the alien species, to travel to the planet's sacred place of rebirth. This is kind of a legendary spot on the planet. And it's there he feels like he'll get answers to his questions, these questions that he keeps having about himself and the planet that just won't go away. It's a thought-provoking read with this kind of eerie, spooky, creepy vibe to it, kind of undertones throughout. Like something strange is waiting just around the corner, or on the next page maybe, which I mean that in a really good way. The ending ties this fantastic, satisfying bow on our understanding of the planet, of these aliens that are on the planet, and of Edmund's quest, his overall quest for forgiveness. Next up from 1968 is Chalky. And this is about a young boy named Matthew who begins communicating with an invisible presence named Chalky. And at first his parents, because Matthew's telling him this, he's kind of telling him what's happening to himself, his parents think it's just an imaginary friend. But Chalky, as we keep reading, soon shows that Chalky is something much stranger than that. And that's because Chalky is curious about Earth. He's not all that familiar with everything, and he just kind of knows things about Matthew. And so Matthew's parents, obviously, like I said, kind of start freaking out. They have no idea what's going on inside Matthew's head, but it's clear to them at some point that it's not an imaginary friend. And at a certain point, Chalky gains physical control, momentarily at least, over Matthew. And this upsets Matthew at times, but he's also totally fine with it at other times. So you're not sure really whether Chalky is good or bad, what is his goal that Chalky's trying to achieve through Matthew. And that's why it has this puppet and puppet master sense to it. It does a great job though of showing different perspectives. Matthew's perspective, Chalky's perspective, and the parents' perspectives. It's tense and quietly discomforting, but it offers up a great take on individuality and forces outside of ourselves that go beyond our understanding. Third on my list from 1967 is Hawksbill Station. And in this time travel story, political prisoners are sent 1 billion years into the past. Now, that's not an exaggeration, like literally 1 billion years in the past where they can never return to the future. They can't come back. However, their jailers from the future do occasionally send back supplies and food, everything that these prisoners will need. The main character is Jim Barrett, and he's been imprisoned at Hawksbill Station for 20 years, and because of that, he's kind of got seniority, and he's become the de facto leader of all these prisoners. Some of the men keep themselves busy with these self-assigned roles, or by cataloging the types of creatures, very basic creatures in the oceans, but many of them go crazy. Like one is testing out psychic powers and trying to tap into some psychic ability that maybe he has, and another one is just building women out of dirt. He's getting kind of desperate. It's clear that this prison is boring, it's hopeless, and so a lot of the prisoners just go cuckoo. So this is a multi-period novel that shows Jim Barrett's younger years as well as his current situation at Hawksbill Station, where in the present, when Jim's older, there's this much younger, mysterious prisoner that's just been sent back, and all the current prisoners at Hawksbill are trying to figure out who he is, why he's here, why he's there. It just doesn't really all add up to them. Now, the ending is a bit abrupt, but it's an interesting use of the time travel trope that really was an entertaining read. Another book on my list is October the 1st is Too Late, and this is from 1966, and it again features time travel, parallel universes as well, and classical music. As two friends, there's one that's a scientist and one that's a composer, they realize that something strange has happened with the world, with the sun. And now, several different times in Earth's history, Earth's past, are existing with Earth's future and Earth's presence. All these timelines are currently existing on the world. So the composer named Dick goes with a team to experience ancient Greece. He has to travel to a certain place on the world where ancient Greece is happening. And he kind of sticks out because, one, he's got this really fast boat that obviously no one else in ancient Greece has. And then he can play this weird musical instrument called the piano, which he just so happened to bring along. And soon his musical skills with the piano kind of catch the attention. They're noticed by this temple priestess who challenges him to see which of them is the better musician. It's a fun thinker that spans several different times and places all in one book, and it asks this interesting question that a lot of books have asked before and since, of what would you do if you knew what the future held. Another classic from 1966 I want to talk about is Flowers for Algernon. And in this book, after an experiment on a mouse named Algernon makes the animal smarter, Charlie Gordon is the low IQ guy who's picked to see if the new scientific procedure will enhance the brain power of humans. Not just animals, we're moving on to humans. And pretty quickly, Charlie turns into a genius whose intellect goes beyond everybody else around him. Everybody else around him seems like an idiot now. But the changes impact his personality, his feelings, and his perspectives as well. It's a classic YA sci-fi that looks at the consequences of those changes and then reverses the roles, seeing what might happen if someone went from brilliant to not so brilliant. Up next on my list from 1963 is Waystation. And in this book, Enoch Wallace is a Civil War veteran who's chosen by an alien to be the caretaker of a waystation, which is this transportation hub for intergalactic travelers. And he's had the gig now for 100 years and stays close to the waystation. It's actually the home where he grew up and was raised and all that. And it's also, by staying by the waystation, he keeps from aging, so he's still pretty young. Now, he does hang around outside occasionally, like talks to his mailman, just because mailmen are great, I guess. But the locals just kind of see him as this odd, reclusive guy. But then he catches the eye of the CIA, which one will do if you're 100 years old, or 130 years old, and the CIA starts meddling in Enoch's affairs. They start trying to piece together who this ancient guy is and why he's so strange. What's cool is that you get to see several different interesting alien species with unique abilities and technologies kind of just passing through this waystation, so it's kind of quick snapshots of them. But Enoch's dilemma is the most interesting part of the book. He's torn between his role as a human and his role as a resident to the stars, which is kind of how he starts seeing himself. So if Earth is about to destroy the world with nukes, then what should he do and what can he do? What is he supposed to do? That's the question that the book poses. From 1965, you know it, you probably like it, you probably already read it or seen the movies. It's Dune. There's a lot to like about this classic that's been getting a lot of love lately for obvious reasons. There are giant sandworms, there's life-prolonging spice, eugenics, deep, complex characters, and religious prophecies of the Chosen One. That's the long and short of it. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about Dune because it's so well known and tons of other people are better at chatting about it than I am. But suffice it to say that I really like the book, and if you still haven't read it, please get to it soon. You won't be disappointed. Well, you probably won't. I feel like people's expectations are higher than they would have been 10 years ago because of the movies. Curse you, Timothée Chalamet! There you have it, 7 of my favorite sci-fi books from the 1960s. Let me know which ones you've read, what your thoughts are about them, and what other books from the decade you would recommend that I crack open soon or somebody else open up. Happy reading!